I think one of the things we have to do is look at the possibilities of what we're going to see in the future. Kansas has been primarily an agricultural state, and we're beginning to move away from that. So we have to be extremely forward-thinking and look at the new next frontier. And one of those new next frontiers might be the way we look at internet accessibility throughout the state. If you're in rural western Kansas, you don't have good access to broadband, and so your dial-up times are extremely slow. I think we need to look at expanding our broadband access across the state so folks that want to stay in rural Kansas and still have some sort of a high-tech job can do it from home, but they've got to have the broadband access in order to do that. I'd like for us to take a look at developing partnerships with our community college systems here in the state and businesses. Is there any way we can partner up and develop programs so that students have a specific interest and they can go to a specific community college and they can get a good 2-year tech program degree and walk right into a business that needs a 2-year tech program? Not everybody needs to go to a 4-year college. So we need to look at expanding that. I'd like to see us looking at perhaps offering an incentive. The state will help you with your tuition after you've graduated, so that for every semester in school, we're going to look at forgiving those loans if you stay for a year in Kansas. So if you do 4 semesters, then that means 4 years you're going to stay in Kansas, and usually by then you've become a Kansan and you're going to stay and you're going to help contribute completely to our economy. That's a tough one. Some of the programs or some proposals that we have on the table right now are not good. Some of the proposals talk about going back to where we were in the early 90s, and that's where your local community funded education heavily. And as a result, the local communities have to rely on property taxes. The proposals are talking about setting a very minimal base per pupil so that every pupil gets the same amount. But then if your community can fund any extras in the budget, they're going to do so with property tax increases for the most part. And again, if you're living in rural Kansas, you don't have a good property tax base from which to draw. So the richer your county or city is, the better off your schools are going to be. There's also some talk about removing the weightings, and we give a percentage weighting for different categories. We give weightings for transportation, we give weightings for free and reduced lunches, we give weightings for students that don't do well on the assessments to help with those concerns. If we remove the weightings, then you're going to have districts all over the state scrambling to get in the money that's needed for the education of their students. I don't want us to tinker with the education formula. What the state has to realize is that we are constitutionally mandated to provide a suitable, adequate education for every single child in the state of Kansas. And as legislators, we need to live up to our constitutional duty to do that. There are some, unfortunately, that haven't been inside a classroom since they were in a school. And they absolutely do not understand what goes on in today's classrooms. At one time, all you had to do was be able to sign your name and you were considered educated. And we know today that isn't the case. It takes a lot of effort, and we just need to get our act in gear and go forward and say, we are going to educate, because education is the key cornerstone for our state's economic continuing. I think I run from wanting to be a public servant. Public service is important to me, and I'm not running to get my name in the newspaper. I'm not running to say, oh, look at me, look what I've done, look how many bills I've introduced. A lot of folks run with, when I get there, I will do this, and I will do this, and I will be sure that this is done. I will be doing that. I'm running because I believe public service is extremely important, and I want to work together with others to help make Kansas even better than it is and to continue that. One of the issues I'd like to work on a lot more in the next few years is the whole issue surrounding domestic violence. We've got to get a handle on that. We've got to make it so that this is a safe place for our women and our families and everyone involved. We've got a good start on that. Another issue is early childhood education and early childhood issues. We know completely that it all starts as soon as that child takes their first breath. And we've got to be able to support the families and the children. Children don't come with a handbook. And in times past, you had a good community that you could draw from and could offer help and assistance to young families. And we need to get back to that it's okay to ask for help, and that if we have strong, healthy children, then we're going to have a strong, healthy economy and state, and we're going to be one of the shining stars in the country. I'm in my 27th year, or 28th year with the district now. I am a reading resource teacher over at Allen Elementary, and I will tell you why it's extremely important to read. One of the big things that we have to do up there is read the bills. And as a ranking minority member on the Federal and State Affairs Committee, I've considered it my job to be aware of what is in a bill that comes before our committee. So I go to my committee with extra copies of the bill. We have a book at the committee that has the bills in it, but I also come with an extra copy. So I keep an extra copy for me, I keep an extra copy in my office, and I have a copy on the House floor, and I have a copy in the committee room. And my copy is always marked up. And by that I mean I've gone through the bill with a stack of Post-it notes and a yellow highlighter. So when I come to committee, I've got the bill and it's marked up. And a lot of times my chair will look over at me and kind of just shake his head because he knows I've read the bill and I pretty well know what's in the bill. So I tend to ask the folks, what if we do this, what happens? And we'll ask people that have been instrumental in helping develop the bill, do you really mean to say what is written down in this bill? And a lot of times they'll go, well, no, but I mean what I say, but that's not what is written down in this bill. So I think it's my job, especially as the ranking minority member, to be on top of what is being written in the bill, because oftentimes what's written in the bill is not the actual intent of the bill itself. So you have to be real careful with how it's written, and the difference between will, shall, and may are extremely important in writing a bill.